Hi, everyone, and welcome to the course of World History. I am your host, Mr. Samuelson, and today we are looking at the road to World War I. This is the first in 4 parts on World War I, and today we're going to look at how it all got started. All right, so our essential question is, what were the main causes of the war, and how did the war begin? All right, let's look at those causes of war. World War I broke out in 1914 and lasted until 1918, late 1918, early 1919, depending on how you want to count it, but the fighting ended in late 1918. Now, traditionally, historians have attributed the start of the war to 4 main causes, M-A-I-N, main. So, what are those causes? They are militarism, alliances, imperialism, and nationalism. We're going to break that down and look at each of them, starting with imperialism and nationalism. So during the height of European imperialism, which was that 1800s to 1914, right up until the beginning of the war, European powers went out and conquered much of the world. Africa became colonized, much of Asia became colonized, and by 1914, there are no more foreign conquests out there. Somebody else has already staked their claim to everything. So you can't continue to expand your colonies by conquering new territory. That's done. Conquering new territory means war with a European power, and up until 1914, no one was willing to do that. Now, nationalism also becomes a problem because even within Europe, there were nations, groups of people, who were not nation states. That is, they did not have independence. And Europe was all about nationalism, in a way, for themselves, if they're the ones in power. And the less powerful groups were starting to really kind of dislike that idea. They wanted to have their own free states. Ireland, which had been dominated by Great Britain, wanted to be free. Poland, which was at that time dominated by Russia, wanted to be free. And lots of groups within the Austrian-Hungarian Empire wanted to be free. They were kind of their own mess. This is a map of the Austro-Hungarian Empire in 1910, showing just all the different ethnic groups within this single empire. Now, if you look at a map of the region today, we'll see that many of these are broken up into different independent nation states today. Not so then. But the people were still different. Different languages, in some cases different cultures, wanting to be free and independent. And that's going to cause problems. Another thing was the alliance system. In this rush to colonize Africa and Asia, there were tensions brewing within Europe. Very few outright conflicts in Europe, but there was always that tension of possible conflict as one nation is rushing to colonize and so is another. What if they bump up against each other? What if they want the same lands? And this started to lead toward an alliance system. And it starts early 1880s, 1882, when Germany, Austria-Hungary, and Italy enter into a triple alliance. They were concerned, Germany hadn't fully risen to the power that they will at the time, and they were concerned that their weaker position against France, Britain, Russia, these other powers, might lead to them being taken advantage of. And so they made an agreement that if any one of them was attacked, the others would defend them. Now, in 1907, by the time Germany is now becoming a major power, is a major power by 1907. Britain, France, and Russia, concerned with them, form their own system, the Triple Entente, which balances out the power of this Triple Alliance. Now, Britain did not jump into this with full excitement, but Russia and France got in a little bit earlier and had one of those mutual defense treaties, meaning that an attack against one would force a response by the others. And so the system is kind of set. This is a map of Europe at that time, just to show how things lay out. So our blue are neutral nations, so they're not going to participate. And then we have the Triple Entente and the Central Powers, or the Triple Alliance. And notice that they are largely surrounded by the Entente. and this is going to lead to problems for this alliance. So the fourth one that we're going to talk about of the main causes is militarism. Now, European efforts to conquer the world had led to the development of some really large advanced militaries. European nations have been piling money into their militaries and really developing new weapons of war, the new navies floating steel ships with artillery on board that can fire, beyond the line of sight. Really powerful stuff. And the armies themselves are doubling in size. Germany's building a navy that never gets to the level where it truly rivals Britain, but that is their goal, to get a navy that can rival Britain. And by 1914, all this inward focus on our own militaries and new strategies and new weapons and new ships, combined with the fact that fighting against colonial powers, they had not really lost anything. No wars had been lost, excepting Italy losing to Ethiopia. So they're feeling really good. This new war machine that we have is completely invincible. Any war we fight, we're going to win. Who could possibly stop us? It was a common belief within Europe at the time. And then a war does break out. Now, we're not going to get into the fighting today, but we're going to look at this series of events that lead to it. And it starts with nationalism, one of those main causes. That gives us the spark that will explode in Europe. And it happens in June of 1914. When Franz Ferdinand, who's the heir to the Austro-Hungarian throne, he's going to be the next emperor of Austria, was assassinated while in Bosnia. Now, Bosnia was a territory within the empire that was culturally different, linguistically different, ethnically different than much of the Austrian-Hungarian Empire, but this was a norm within Austria-Hungary. But the majority Serb population within the area wanted to break away. They wanted to join the Kingdom of Serbia, an independent nation on Austria-Hungary's borders. So this terrorist group called the Black Hand organized this attack on the heir of the Austrian-Hungarian Empire. And in this attack, both Franz Ferdinand is killed, and then for good measure, once he is killed, his wife is killed as well. This is going to cause some problems. Austria doesn't know whether or not Serbia, the Serbian government, had officially supported or helped this in any way, but they don't particularly care. This was done in Serbian interest. There was a message that Austria-Hungary needed to put out to stop any other Serbian actions against Austria-Hungary. So they were going to attack Serbia and get revenge, but there's a problem. Serbia has a treaty with Russia, and Russia is backing Serbia, and Russia has let Serbia know, if anybody attacks you, we got your back. We'll step in and we'll defend you. You will remain independent, Serbia. Now, Austria knows this, and they also know that they're not in position to fight a war against two powers. Serbia, yeah, they can take Serbia. Serbia and Russia, probably not. But if Austria can get the backing of Germany, then they'll be all set. So they go to Germany, and in July, Germany agrees that if Russia declares war on Austria, Germany will declare war on Russia. So we call this the blank check, the idea that you can go do what you want, we will support you unconditionally. So on July 28th, Austria-Hungary does declare war on Serbia. Russia responds. They've got a treaty with Serbia. They're going to stand up to their word. So on July 28th, the Russian Tsar, Nicholas II, orders mobilization for war against Austria. Now, his generals come up to him and say after that, it's like, we can't really just mobilize for war against Austria. Austria is allied with Germany. All of our war plans for a potential battle with them calls for defending and fighting against both of them. That's what our plans say. We have to follow our plans. So the following day, Russia also mobilizes for war against Germany. Now, they didn't declare war, but in 1914, mobilizing for war is seen as an act of war. So even though war was not declared by Russia, Germany sees this definitely as an act of war. So our conflict is going to broaden. Germany tells Russia, we need you to stop mobilizing. Russia refuses, so Germany declares war. None of this will mobilize but not declare war stuff. No, Germany says, no, if we're going to have a war, we're going to have a war. Let's do it. So Germany declares war. But Germany knows of Russia's alliance with France. And they know that if they declare war on Russia, France is going to get involved. So let's declare war on France too. Let's just get that out of the way as well. So the Germans have this plan, much like Russia, they're stuck to their plans, calling for what we should do if there's a war. If there's a war, it's going to be against Russia and against France. So let's follow our plan. Their plan was called the Schlieffen Plan. And the Schlieffen Plan recognized that France was the bigger threat of the two. And they were partially a bigger threat because they were closer and they could mobilize faster. So in any war against France and Russia at the same time, where you have enemies on both sides, you got to take out France first. So this Schlieffen Plan called for avoiding all the French defenses along the French-German border, just violating the neutrality of Belgium, attacking France through Belgium, capturing Paris, and then circling back and taking out these French forces. That's the plan. And Germany's going to go after it. Now, once Germany does this, Britain says, nah, you can't do that. Belgium was innocent. France is our friend. We're going to get involved too. This is what happens with the actual Schlieffen Plan down here. They don't get Paris. They get stopped. The Allies respond quickly enough. Germany gets bogged down. And what Germany hoped to be a really short war winds up being a really long one. But there will be a lot more on that to come. That was all for today. I hope that you enjoyed this lesson and that you learned something, and I will see you next time. Farewell.